is my business card. I want to set and phone. I don't mean a bra, but I'll build a pretty bag. When you see me ranks, cause I come like my ass, yeah. Should go from the Taliban, making it on the love. But marching diamonds with sex of my bitches. I rather spoil all my friends with my riches. Think we're the rapid, my new addition. Whoever said money can solve your problems, then I had enough and told them. They say which one, I said nah, I want all of them. Happiness is the same price for the
This video is one of the 7 parts of what it's like to study in Germany, especially when you're coming from the other side of countries that speaks English, like British, London, American, or in the African country, and then you want to study in Germany. They have a totally different studying system that could be and can be, in fact it is confusing. There is no two about it. And then you have to understand in depth to know where you have to stand. But if you don't know about this and then you go for counseling, school counseling, work counseling, you are going to be misled 100%, and then they'll just push you anywhere to start. So this video is going to help you. First thing I'll be addressing would be the language. It is the most important factor to consider, because you are traveling to Germany to study, and the language they're speaking is not the universal language, that's English. And the most important thing is the language. It's the basic method for you to communicate, for you to understand. Like, it's just surrounds it. So that will be the first thing that I will be addressing, and I'm going to start with a story, and that will be something personally to me. Okay, but before I go into the story, what I have to say, what you're facing at the moment is can always be traced back from the beginning. And what I mean by that is, how did you come to Germany? How? What kind of visa you had? What are you looking into? Because this is the thing that will affect a lot of things. Okay, now I think I have to start the story. So I came with a family visa, which means that I didn't have the schooling visa, because when you want to apply for the school visa, you should already have your certificate in the language in niveau B1 or B2 or C1, possibly what you're applying for. And then, it's kind of a different process between a family visa and a student visa. You already know what you're going into, you already done your research and everything, and you're already ready. And yeah, like, it's so different from family visa. Family visa is you're going to unite with your family, depending on which parents is in this country, that then want to bring the family to join him or her in the country. So I came with the family visa, and in the application of the visa, it is not required for the kids or the underage to bring the language. In fact, they'll be asking for the language, because yes, I'm an adult and you come into our land, our country, so you have to know how to communicate what exactly you do be doing in our country. Like, will you work? Will you start working or start schooling? Like, they'll just like to know all those plans. But for the kids that are underage, it's so easy. They could do the whole thing with the family and mix with the other parents in the country. So it's just the spouse that would have to go through the language stuff, which would be the Grundwissen that they will ask. That's the basic knowledge of the language, which would be the A1s. So that was the visa I came with into Deutschland. So I didn't learn Germany, so I just came here. And the fact that I only had a year to be 18 when I came to Germany, so I was literally 17 when I come to Deutschland. My dad assured me that anything with school stuff that I shouldn't bother. It will literally be easier, and it's much more better to study here with the schooling system here in Deutschland. I didn't know any better because when I was in Maryland, I already written these state exams that would qualify me to study in the university. Because face it, junior secondary school and senior secondary school, depending on which country you are, always take 6 years. So I was like 17, and I finished school. I don't know, my school was a little bit complicated, but I already done the whole stuff, even applied to a university, ready to write the exam and all. But then our visa came and I had no choice but to join my family. To cut the long story short and to focus more on the language, I didn't have more knowledge. Like, I couldn't communicate. But as someone that is going to another land, I knew some basic sentences, like to ask directions, to ask this and that, just basic knowledge of it. And I knew the names of objects like table, I know it's dish. That was still a tiny bit of the thing I knew in the language. Apart from that, I can express myself in the language, I can communicate in the language, and I can't do most of it in the language. And now, what is my goal? Since I'm joining my family, I'm 17, of course, it's expected for me to go to school. So it might not have been a student visa, it was a family visa, but it doesn't mean I'm staying at home. I have to school. I came to Deutschland. It was on January that we flew here, on January on 5th. The whole month I stayed at home, chilling, jolly feeling of finally reuniting with the family and all. What else would you expect? With no idea of what to happen and all. But my daddy just assured me that all I had to do was learn the language. We have to find where I could visit a tutorial for the language, and then I could start school. It is also easy and flowing, as I was told. Okay, let me just stop the sarcastic laugh. So yes, it sounded easy. Okay, I believed it was easy. I was so motivated and was ready to sail the sea. Nothing much happened the whole January. For it, God, what do you expect to happen? I just came to a new environment. I have to chill. My daddy was excited to go to Side City, but I was the more of staying at home and everything. So I wasn't much into the most activities stuff and sightseeing. On February, then he registered me on where I could do the tutorial for the language. Yep. He paid for it because it's kind of a private teaching, and it's a crash course. They have to crash the language in a month. But if you go to the B Central, like the schooling central, Bildung Central, I don't know how to translate that in English. In this journey, you have the opportunity to also go to learn the language without actually paying for it, but it's gonna take like 6 months or something. But I don't have 6 months, so my daddy paid for the private one, and I have to do the crash course for a whole month in this Dutch language. They have different levels, or you call it different niveaus. The lowest one is A1, then we have A2, then we have B1, then we have B2, and then we have C1. So that is it. He paid for the test. So in a month, I have to start from the A2. I left the A1 and start from the A2. Okay. Really, because, oh my God, it was overwhelming. I went to the first day of the lesson I don't know the language. I'm here to learn the language, and you are teaching me the language in the language. What was I expecting? I mean, it's just so funny that we're expecting to be taught in English. I mean, the language that I speak. But no, our tutor was a German person, and she's teaching the language and she's speaking German. If you don't understand it, she'll explain it to you. But I think I realized that because sometimes I'll tell her, I knew some basic sentences. I'll be like, Entschuldigung, ich verstehe nicht. Können Sie bitte nochmal erklären? I don't understand. Can you please explain again? She explained it again, but she explained it in the language. So I just stopped asking her to explain the game because it doesn't make any difference. What I do, stay there with my books and my machine, and I record some things. I think it's illegal, but it's like personal use. It's just so self-helping. And then in every lecture, I grade how many percent, like from 1% to 100%, how did I understand this lecture? How did I understand today? My percentage started so low, but with overtime it got better. So low, I always use the percentage. It helps me to know how many hours I have to put when I get home. So when I get home, I have my book with me. I have my dictionary with me. I have my phone with me. Use translator and start the whole lecture for the day from head to bottom, make personal note and everything. So that was it. What am I trying to explain? You're coming to school in Deutschland or anything like that, especially those that are coming with family visa, you're going to face a lot. So the thing is language. It is. You're going to feel like without the language you feel so little in the sense of I don't understand anything. Yeah, surely you can come to park, mind your business and everything, but I ain't coughing. The shopping, you have to know the language, like basic communication. You have to learn everywhere. I hardly hear anyone speak English. In fact, I'm mostly shocked when people speak English. They never speak English. Me too, when I'm outside, I just forget my whole English. That's mostly it. So now, that is all about those that are coming with family visa. Now, those that are coming with school, with student visa, I don't have much to say, but there is much to say. All I'm going to say is that there is a difference between being good in actually reading the language, being grammatically correct every time you do the test. You're like in your land, you went to the school system and everything. You're so grammatically correct. You're so good at the listening part and everything. But when you're coming to Deutschland, you still have to know that communication is the most important thing. Yeah, communication. But if you have done the language, like you went to the course in your land to a level of at least B5, then you should be fine. You should be fine. The thing is that you just slowly have to integrate to it in the sense of in communication. Your response might be slower, your reaction might be slower than usual. It's normal for me. When I was dealing with my own language, because I'm always grammatically correct when it comes to writing, when it comes to my letters, when it comes to the Horrenfechten, when it comes to lesen. I could read very well because I put a lot of effort and interest in the language. But then when it comes to communication, it's always like communication with someone. I understand what they said, but then for me to form my own sentences, and the fact that I'm learning the language, I'm always conscious of my grammatic. Like, I don't know if it only happens to me, but grammatic is all about like how you build the sentences. Grammatic is always like something that makes my reaction response to be slower because I build the sentences in my head before saying it out loud. And I paid a lot more attention of grammatic. Right now, I can do a lot of communications and grammatically incorrect. I don't know what I just said, but what I want to say that like right now, sometimes I communicate and I'm mostly grammatically incorrect than I was when I was learning, because right now I feel so much comfortable in my skin communicating. All I know, you understood what I said, I understood what you said, or we know what we're saying. That is it. Than last year, whenever I want to ask question in class, whenever I wanted to speak something, my sentence is always grammatically correct, and it takes me many seconds to do that in my head, and I say it slowly. Sometimes I repeat my sentences twice or thrice to make sure that I put the basic, like the correct accusative articles and the dative articles that should be there. But right now I mostly don't even use the and sometimes I just notice it when I said the sentence, but I don't take it back because it doesn't matter. The person I just tell something understood it. That is communication. I understand what you said, you understand what you said, and that is it. So that's why I said, even though that you're done the language and everything, communication is the most important things. It's always to explore it, but if you're fine in all areas, then you're good to go. That's all I'm saying. Like, my communication lately is a lot tackier than it was before, but when it comes to writing, grammatic tests, letters, the verbung and everything, I ace it as much as I can. I think that is all I have to say in the language. I thought I had a lot to say. I think that is all. So for me, in what level I am right now, the what level I am right now is my school system was just catastrophic, and kind of just pretending that it's not catastrophic and building up something on sand is not my thing. I need a very reassuring thing, and that is what level am I right now? I was almost going to the university in our country, but right now, all I'm doing all this time is learning language, and I don't even know where I am right now. Probably I should stop today. I think I should stop now, because this now doesn't just entail about the language, but it's entailing about my school system steps that got me to where I am right now. So that is all. This video, I want to focus mainly on the language, and that is what I did. So the last thing I'm gonna have to say is, yeah, that is about the language. If you want to know the whole levels of the language, is